Endless scrolling in Unity. This is an extreme explaining tutorial. This is what we want to accomplish. An endless scroller. Let's go to Unity and see how this is done. We are inside Unity. In the sprites folder, there are some sprites. They come from a free asset called Foggy Mountains that you can find in Unity Asset Store. Select the background. We can see that it is 1778 times 1000 pixels. All the other images have a width of 1920, which is larger than the width of the background. And that is important that it is so, otherwise it won't work. We can also see that we have 100 pixels per unit and that the aspect ratio is 16:9. Our camera size is 5 units. Let's drag the background to the hierarchy and make sure that its order in layer is set to 0. We have 5 images that we want to put on the screen. We want to put image 1 on the layer 1, and image 2 on the layer 2, and so on. So let's begin by dragging image 1 to the hierarchy and put it on layer 1. And so on. Let's speed up. What we now want to do is to take one game object and make a clone of it and put it to the right side of the original. And then move both of them to the left. And when the first game object leaves the screen, we want to take it and move it to the right side of the clone. And continue to move to the left, and when the clone leaves the screen, we move it to the right of the original. So moving in this way will give the impression of an endless scroller. Now we also want to give different layers different speeds. Game objects in the foreground will move faster than the game objects that are further away. Let's begin by making the foreground move, and later we'll try to repeat for other layers. But for now, let's get image 5 working. So we'll create an empty object, which we will call scroller 5. And we'll reset its position to 0, 0, 0. And then we'll make image 5 the child of the scroller 5. And then we go to the scripts folder and attach the scroller script to the scroller 5. And if we look in the inspector, we see that we have a scroller script with a speed parameter. We'll set the speed to 2 units per second. And now test this by clicking on the play button. We can see that the clone has been created. And we can see it in the hierarchy as well. And when the original leaves the screen, it stitches back to the clone on the right-hand side. And when the clone leaves the screen, it stitches back to the original on the right-hand side. So it works. Now let's stop and try to replicate this for all the layers. To do so, we'll take the image 5 out, and then we'll make 4 copies of the scroller. Let's rename them. Now let's drag image 5 to scroller 5, image 4 to scroller 4, and so on. Now we have to set the speeds. Scroller 5 speed is 2, which is okay. Scroller 4 will give speed 1.5. Scroller 3, 1. Scroller 2, 0.5. And scroller 1, 0.2. Let's test this out by clicking on the play button. And as you can see, it works. Now we have an endless scroller in several layers. Stop. What makes this magic work is the scroller script. You don't need to understand the scroller script in order to use it. But let's look at it anyhow. Here is the scroller script. It consists of two classes. The first class is the scroller. And what the scroller does is to get a reference to the first child, and then make a clone of it, naming it second child, and then add a script called loop to both first child and second child. And the second class is the loop script. And what it essentially does is to use update event to move the game object to the left until it leaves the screen. And then it stitches it back to its twin by moving it to the right. Observe that we must adjust for the movement that happens during the delta time. Let's run this again, but this time choose Maximize on Play in the game view. And then click on the play button. And we see how it will look to the end user. That's everything for this tutorial. Thank you for watching.